Welcome to the NBA Triple Double Show powered by SportsMemo. I'm your host today, Ronald Cabang, also known as UCapper on sportsmemo.com and on Twitter at U_Capper. Before we get into the three games today, obviously it's going to be me and Matt. We're going to talk about some promos real quick. We got a few promos today. Today is Monday, October 31st. It's Happy Halloween. It's actually $9 Monday. Every Monday, $9. All picks and packages by all our cappers over at sportsmemo.com are available for just $9. And the last chance to use Boo31. Boo31 is the promo code to get 31% off any all-access package to any of your favorite handicappers. And the last one is Dunk200. Get $200 off the entire NBA season at sportsmemo.com. On the triple double panel this week, and that's going to be, I think, myself and Matt included, and I think there's going to be Dr. Chuck, JM Sports, Jeff Michaels, and I believe Eric Slime. Those are the other guys that will be on the panel this week, and you should be able to use that promo code for them as well if you're interested. With that said, let's bring our guy in here, Matt, Moneyline Matt, in the building. Matt, how was your weekend of betting? I think for myself, real quick, I had a good weekend, both on the more on the all access package. I went 3-0 in the NFL yesterday, 2-2 in the NBA, but overall just a great weekend of sports betting. How about you?
Nice. So my weekend was a little different. It was very, very up and down. Probably ended up with a losing record. Honestly, I could not just get a streak going with NBA, NFL. Not much of anything. I mean, we did hit a 5% play. We hit 2 4% plays. We had a day where we went 4-0. So there were definitely some bright spots in there, but all in all, I just couldn't really catch a streak. And honestly, was very much looking forward to Monday to get talking with you, just to kind of start fresh, a new slate. You know what I'm saying? I did hit that plus 6,000 NBA same game parlay, which was nice. It was a little cherry on top for me personally. But in terms of the picks and plays, I think I was actually a little bit under 500, but again, had some bright spots throughout the week.
Yeah, I know. We were just talking right before the show. You hit that plus 6,000, and you do share those on your Twitter. So if you're watching the show and don't follow Moneyline Matt on Twitter, do so now, because I know our picks and packages on the website, we can only do so much, and these parlays that are plus 6,000, those single game parlays are tough to put in there. So he puts them out on Twitter.
Yeah.
That's right, right?
Yeah, it's literally 20 legs. So it's kind of impossible to put on the Sports Memo website. So what I'll do is I'll place it on I'll take a video and I'll go through every single pick. And what a same game parlay is, you're essentially predicting the box score. And that's one thing that I've become fairly good at. You know, like I said, my DFS background transfers well to box score predicting. And last night successfully predicted kind of the LA Lakers and the Denver Nuggets. $30 bet turned into 2K. So, you know, that was that helped my weekend. I'll say that.
Definitely. Yeah. So those are things that you don't see on the Sports Memo website, but I mean, just being able to follow you on Twitter and all the information that you put out is some good thing to do at this moment. Just go over to Twitter right now. But with that said, man, we got 3 games on the board today. It's a big slate today, but 3 games that we're looking at. First one is actually Hawks Raptors. Hawks are coming off of a loss to the Bucks, playing their 4th game of a 5-game road trip, 3rd game in 4 nights. So there's like a bit of a travel spot there. Where are you looking at for this game, Matt?
Yeah, so for me personally, I'm really liking the look of the Toronto Raptors here at -3. You know, the Raptors are one of those teams where, you know, they're a little bit low key, but all in all, they have a good 1 through 5. They are very sound defensively. They have some solid guys coming off that bench, like Boucher. You know, he's someone who can come in and fill it up. And, you know, when looking at this, the Raptors are 10th in adjusted net, 16th in overall offensive rating, and 12th in overall defensive rating. You know, so nothing really jumps off the page, but very solid all over the place. You know, they're 13th in strength of schedule as well, so right in the middle of the pack once again. But another thing I want to add, to Ron's point, it's a travel spot. Toronto is a pretty deep place to play. It's not the easiest place to play. You know, you're in Canada, you're adjusting. And because of that, I favor the Raptors here. When you take a look at the Atlanta Hawks, they're 18th in adjusted net, 24th in offensive rating, and 13th in defensive rating. But when you take a little bit deeper of a look, they actually have the 25th toughest strength of schedule. You saw them play the Pistons in a back-to-back, and the Pistons are one of those teams where not that great defensively. It's kind of just a track meet. And the Atlanta Hawks really haven't been stopping anyone. And when you go and look at that bench, they're really, really missing Bogdanovich right now. Bogdanovich was that guy who could come off the bench for them, get some buckets. Now they're relying on the Holiday brothers, Aaron Holiday and Justin Holiday. And if you've watched them in the past, man, are they streaky. They can easily go 0 for 9 and do absolutely nothing coming off the bench, and then that leaves everything up to the Hawks starting unit. Again, I do favor Toronto in this spot because of that. You're looking at guys like Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, who's one of the top defenders throughout the NBA, Pascal Siakam. And then again, you got guys like Chris Boucher coming off the bench, Precious Achiuwa. So I think this Raptors team is actually better at this point in time in the season. And they're sitting 3-3 when the Hawks are sitting 4-2. The Raptors might need this game a little bit more. I really do like this Raptor spot here, so I'm going to be on the Raptors.
Yeah, I actually like that play a lot. I mean, we talk about the travel spot on the Hawks side. The Raptors, they're also coming off of a loss to the Sixers, but they're to me, they haven't played since Friday, so they're fairly rested. The biggest thing about that is, you have a period of time where you played really bad. Someone like VanVleet who went 0 for 11 on Friday. That's in your body, just like waiting to bust out. So to me, the way that I was actually looking at this was the first half. I feel like VanVleet and Achiuwa was I feel like they're gonna come out pretty aggressive here. I know Achiuwa doesn't start, but he's probably one of the better 6 men in the league. But if they come out the gate pretty hot, I think that's the way that I would look at it. To me, VanVleet going for 0 for 11 is not a typical game for him. The Hawks, they're top 3rd in the league in offensive rating, one of the biggest reasons why they're successful. But I think the biggest thing about them, this was actually a comment on John Collins under 15 points for Groovy Caps on the comment in the comment section. They're really good on the offensive side of the ball, but they have 2 ball dominant players in Trae Young and DeJounte Murray. And John Collins actually scored 4 points. Scored 4 points in 2 straight games. Also attempted only 4 shots in 2 straight games. So I think I kind of like that look, Groovy Caps, on that under John Collins 15 points, because it obviously looks like they're phasing him out a little bit on the offensive side of the ball. I don't know. Maybe they put some emphasis on it today, but there's a lot of length on this Toronto Raptors team on the front court. Like there's like the 3 to 5 position on the Raptors side. Even Achiuwa, they're all lengthy defenders, people who could stay with John Collins as well. So I can definitely see that play. But going back to that first half, the travel fatigue spot for the Hawks is something that I was looking at. And then also VanVleet and Achiuwa coming out the gate pretty hot. I think for me, that was the way that I was looking, is just taking advantage of that first half specifically. I think he was at 1.5 the last time I saw it. So that would be the way that I look in that game. Any thoughts on John Collins and like why he's only attempted 4 shots in the last 2 games each?
Yeah, honestly, I don't really understand that one fully. With John Collins and that matchup, I think maybe it came down to pace of play and stuff like that. They were just so guard heavy in those matchups. Those were just 2 games that Trae Young and DeJounte Murray just completely dominated the usage. They dominated the scoreboard. I know Trae Young had, we had him on this show, actually. Trae Young, we had him over 26.5 points last Friday, and he smashed for 36. And honestly, that show smashed in general. I just want to talk about that. He hit almost every single, like we talked about Cavs outright money line. So again, just shows why you should pay attention to this show. All this stuff isn't on Twitter. It's not all on SportsMemo. We just break it down right here. But getting back to that, I think it was just very much dominated by the guard play. Anytime I see something like that, I'm going to be honest, I tend to go the other way. I don't go unders with it. I tend to go with the over, because it's one of those things where he's had 8 shots, and I'm going to hold on to this because my last play is with John Collins.
Oh,
But,
it is. Okay.
8 shots in 2 games, that's kind of an outlier. You don't see that very often. Again, I think he was stretching the court out and maybe hanging out in that corner 3-point. So DeJounte Murray and Trae Young could have slashing to the basket. So I think it was more just situational. But if it continues, then yeah, I would definitely change my opinion.
Yeah, that makes sense, right? It might be something where they have to adjust because someone of John Collins is like, player status is someone that shouldn't be shooting 4 shots a game, regardless of who the guards are in the game. So that makes a lot of sense too. Maybe they adjust based off of the last 2 performances, and obviously they coming off of a loss, you got to make an adjustment. So next game up, Grizzlies Jazz. Grizz are coming looking for a quick revenge in this one. They just played each other on Saturday. Jazz won by 1. Ja looks to be a true game time decision. I think Desmond Bane is actually questionable now. I just saw before the show with an ankle injury. This one's tough. I mean, Ja and Desmond Bane, they're 1 and 2 really for the Grizzlies. So it's hard to look at anything as far as the side or total because those guys will affect the pace of play. And also, who's gonna be able to dominate the ball on the Grizzlies side here? Is it going to be Dylan Brooks? I don't know if but they got Jones there. I mean, so we'll see how that goes. But which way are you looking on this one?
Yeah, I'm very much with you here. If John Morant or Desmond Bane were to miss, it's tough to understand the structure of this lineup just because Tyus Jones is a solid facilitator, but he's not much of a scoring threat. Dylan Brooks can be a scoring threat, but he's not much of a facilitator. Yeah. So in reality, without John Morant or without Desmond Bane, how does this offense function? Does like you said, talking about the pace of play, you got to assume the pace of play goes down. How do they get each other involved? Who's the main facilitator? I just don't know enough about this Grizzlies offense without those two to confidently place my money in either side. If John Morant and Desmond Bane played in this game, then yeah, I would 100% be with the Grizzlies. So I think you need to watch out for that. I love the revenge narrative here. I still think the Jazz are playing a little bit better of basketball than expected, and in terms of how good they actually are. Early on in the season, a lot of people have not seen this Jazz roster. They haven't had the opportunity to face it, don't know how to defend it exactly. As the season goes on, they are going to catch up to this Jazz team. All in all, when you look at their roster and you look at their bench, they're solid. They're definitely solid, but they're not going to be as good as these Grizzlies teams or any of these teams that have these superstars or anything along those lines. Right now, I think with the Jazz, the biggest thing is the unknown. A lot of the people haven't faced the Jazz, don't know exactly what type of defense to play on them. But as the season continues, teams are going to catch up. And again, going back to my main point, if Morant and if Desmond Bane play in this game, that's exactly who I'm going to be with because these two are superstars. They're shot creators, things of that nature. Dylan Brooks is coming back. That team's getting synced. But right now with the unknown, I can't place my money confidently in either side. I have to wait for news to drop.
Yeah. So while you were just talking there, I actually looked it up to see last season, how did they do without Ja and Bane if they were both out in the same game? There was 2 instances, and both games went over the closing total. And the interesting thing is they played against the Suns and the Celtics. So obviously those guys are 2 of the top tier teams. Of the Jazz, I feel like obviously we can't compare them to the Suns or the Celtics, but offensively they've been pretty solid. So I think if the Grizzlies go without Bane and Ja, what they're telling us is a lot of that perimeter defense is going to go away. And this might push the game over the total, regardless of whether or not, a lot of these guys in the NBA. It's funny because we look at these guys in the NBA who tend to look like they're not really good, but you put them out there, go to LA Fitness, bring these guys out there, they will ball on you guys like easily. So my thing is, I feel like sometimes, obviously the defense is not going to be there with guys like John and Bane, but offensively they should be able to kind of work with the offensive system there that they have in Memphis, because really I think their coaching staff is one of the best out there. They did a lot with nothing the last couple of years, and improved and made players better than they were before they got there. And that's just a good sign of a good system and good coaching. And the other thing too is one way that I wanted to look at it. So so that's the way I was going to look at it. If Bane and Ja are out, I think I would go over, possibly the over team total on the Jazz. That may be the way that I go. And then the other way that I was looking at it was actually a player prop. And this one is probably like an unsexy pick, but I'm looking at Kelly Olynyk over 1.5 threes. It's at -115. He's gone over this number in 5 of the 7 games this season. He's hitting at 64% from threes right now, 16 out of 25 on the season. I think the pace of play and then the lack of defense on the Grizzlies side, that's telling me. For me, I feel like Kelly Olynyk can get 2 in that type of environment. What are your thoughts on that?
I like that too. I like that Kelly Olynyk look. Again, he didn't have that good of a game in his last outing, so I always like the bounce back spots. I think these players think about this stuff. They kind of can't wait to get that next opportunity to try and kind of make up for what they did. So I do like that Kelly Olynyk bounce back spot, and I think that over is a very interesting look because one thing with Tyus Jones is he's a very capable ball handler. He's very capable of getting that ball, getting out and running, getting his teammates involved because he is a very good facilitator. And again, that injury by replacement theory that we talk about all the time, I do like it again here because the thing is with the Jazz, the guys who would replace Desmond Bane or John Morant, yes, the Jazz would be better with like Jordan Clarkson and Mike Conley and stuff like that, but it's not like that crazy, a crazy amount better or anything along those lines. The Jazz are just one of those teams that have good synergy. They play very well together, and that's something that the Grizzlies do with or without John Morant and Desmond Bane. They are very much a team-oriented basketball, getting each other involved, not an egotistical team. So again, I do think that this Grizzlies team could continue to get out and run with the Jazz, with or without Bane and Morant.
Yeah, and with Jones being a facilitator, you got a lot of 3-point shooters on the wings that he can push out to. But yeah, and so yeah, that would be the way that I look if both of them are out. It's probably towards that over.
Yep.
All right, so next game up, we have the Rockets and Clippers here. Clippers playing, but actually both of these guys are playing back-to-back nights, right? One team surprisingly, well, not surprisingly, one team's on a 4-game losing streak, which is the Rockets here. Or no, the Clippers. Clippers on a 4-game losing streak. They lost to the Pelicans yesterday. And they actually lost 2 games to the Thunder in that losing streak as well, which is really, that was the surprising part. They're just struggling offensively right now. But so that's, to me, it's kind of surprising that the line opened up at nearly double digits.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this game?
No, I'm very much with you there. I was surprised that the line opened nearly double digits. And if I were to side with anyone right now, it would actually be with the Houston Rockets. When I watch the Los Angeles Clippers, player for player, they should be more talented, but there's no cohesiveness. There's no synergy with this team right now. Paul George is playing decent basketball, and I think there's a lot of unknown as well. You got John Wall coming off the bench. Norman Powell is supposed to play really good. He's been playing okay. Kawhi Leonard has been out. And again, I think that's part of the reason that they started off a little bit slower. You look at this Clippers team, they're actually 26th throughout the NBA in adjusted net rating. They're 28th in offensive rating, 17th in defensive rating, and only the 11th ranked strength of schedule. So all in all, just not playing that great of basketball. And when you actually dive into the numbers a little bit further, the Houston Rockets have actually been playing better basketball than that of the Los Angeles Clippers. They just have a worse record. They actually have the second toughest strength of schedule throughout the entire NBA right now. So again, the Houston Rockets have the 18th in terms of overall offensive net rating and 21st in terms of overall defensive net rating. So again, this is with one of the toughest strength of schedules throughout the NBA. On top of that, you got 2 guys who are playing very good basketball right now in Kevin Porter Jr. and Jalen Green. Kevin Porter Jr. does a little bit of everything, scores, assists, rebounds. Jalen Green is just one of those guys who's going to attack the basket, and he's going to keep attacking. He's one of those guys who you can expect around 20 shots per game on top of that. And this team is slowly coming together. You got Alperen Sengun, who is scoring well and rebounding pretty well. You got Eric Gordon coming off the bench. They're just a scrappy squad, And if you give me 9 points, it could even climb. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people wanted to go to the Clippers here, thinking, okay, they're coming off a loss, need to bounce back, things of that nature. But for me personally, if I would take it at the 9, and if this climbed to double digits, I'd for sure be on the Rockets at double digits. This is also a team that if you see them get down by double digits, they continue to fight. They're not a team that tends to go away. And, they're just a team that I personally like. Jabari Smith as well. He had an off game last night, expecting him to bounce back. So if I were to go anywhere, it would actually be with the Houston Rockets, and I'll take the points.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Both teams, to me, I was actually looking towards the total here. You mentioned the Rockets' strength of schedule. They're playing their fourth game of a 4-game road trip, second game of back-to-back, third game in 4 nights. It definitely is a bad spot for them. It also is a bad spot for the Clippers as well, playing back-to-back nights and just being on a 4-game losing streak is really deflating, especially for a team like the Clippers here. With both teams really in a bad spot, both teams in the bottom 4 in the league in offensive rating. Also, pace of play really isn't that quick either as what we would normally expect from that Rockets team. To me, I feel like this is an underplay. 224 is the total. I think from a service level, I think if I was to see these two teams, the names of these two teams earlier on in the season, I would probably expect this number to be somewhere closer to 230. For it to be at 224 here is kind of telling me a little bit of a story that both of these offenses are not going to pick it back up anytime soon. And then Clippers defense is solid. So I feel like if the Clippers continue to play solid defense and struggle on offense, a lot of their games might be going towards the under here. And that's probably where I look here for this game specifically. Not much to add from a player prop perspective. I know the Clippers, they're going to be without Kawhi again. And I believe John Wall is going to be out. So that second unit where John Wall was the guy that kind of led that team and pushed the pace with that second unit, he's not going to be there either. So that also helps towards the under. With that said, any last notes on that game, Matt?
Yeah, I have one last note that I just kind of thought about. I did not look at the number or anything like that. But one thing that I'm thinking about is Paul George. Paul George, in all honesty, has been playing terrible. Like, there's no way around it. His last 3 games, he's had 14 points, he's had 10 points, and he's had 16 points. Last game, he shot 26%. Game before that, 33%, 36%. You wouldn't assume that this would continue with Paul George. Not sure what his number is at, but you could get a discounted price right now just for the pure fact that it's, again, 16 points, 10 points, 14 points. Mm-hmm. A lot of the weapons are out. Kawhi Leonard is out. John Wall is potentially out. And this Rockets defense can be Swiss cheese at times. So with that being said, this might be a very good bounce back spot for Paul George. He's going to get a shit ton of usage. Again, John Wall is going to be out. Kawhi is going to be out. He should see a lot of volume in terms of shots, opportunity, things of that nature. And when I sit here and think about it, if he's running the small forward position, he'll be matched up against Eric Gordon, which, that's a pretty good matchup for Paul George, if I'm being honest. So I don't know the number right now, but I definitely think that's something worth checking out.
Yeah, it's the number that I see right now is 22.5, a little bit juiced to the over, -123.
Okay.
The other thing to look at with Paul George too at the small forward position is rebounds, because Houston Rockets give up the 4th most to small forwards in rebounds. And that has to do with the team just not being able to shoot well. So that's pretty much it. A lot of rebounds are going to be made in this game, and that hopefully turns into under. The other thing too, they both turn the ball over at a high rate, and that means less possessions, right? Less shot attempts, because they're just going back and forth, not putting up a shot. So the more we talk about it, I do like the under.
That's a good point too, because that's what you have to think about when looking at props, guys. If it's a game where it's like, okay, these two teams don't shoot at a high clip, they slow it down a little bit, that kind of tends to favor the rebound props or things along those lines. So, you'll see that same number oftentimes 4.5 or say whatever it may be across multiple games, but it's not the same situation. You have to read into that situation and see how probable it's going to be that those rebounds occur, rebound opportunities per minute, things like that.
Yeah, no, that's great to add to that. So those are the 3 games there. We talked about the Hawks Raptors, we talked about the Grizzlies Jazz, and then that one there was the Rockets Clippers. I think we did a really good job breaking all three of them down before this game. So I don't even have anything up on my premium side right now, but I think talking through with you some of these games, I might end up having some plays tonight. So that's good. Like I don't like going through a day and not having plays out for my clients.
Oh yeah, I agree.
So I gotta try my best to find one, and I think I might have found one. With that said, though, let's go. Let's get into the best bets. Matt, what is your best bet for the show, and what do you got going on the premium side?
So yeah, like you said, I don't have anything up on premium side right now. I always have probably at least 2 or 3. Like I'm someone who just likes to bet the NBA just about every night. You know, there are those times where there's just no spot really available, and I'll pass. But when a bigger slate is occurring like this, you can tend to find something out there. And to our boy in the chat, what was his name? Groovy Cats. We're kind of opposite tonight, but there's a little middle there. So let's hope for that middle because I'm on John Collins over 21.5 points and rebounds. Okay. So let's have maybe like a 14 points, 9 rebounds, something like that. So we both hit. That would be tight.
Let's go. Yeah.
But I'm rolling with John Collins tonight, and a lot of it's for the fact, like what we talked about earlier. If you've watched the show, you know I love the bounce back spots. I love playing the odds. If you're hitting at a 60% rate and you've missed 2 in a row, odds are you're going to pop off in that third game. So that's generally when I like to pick these spots. You know, John Collins has hit this number in 3 out of 6 games this season, missing the last 2 in brutal fashion. You know, he had 4 points the last 2 games, shooting at only 8 shots total. That's something you would not expect to continue. You know, John Collins got a fat contract. He's there for the long haul. They want him to be a big factor in this offense. I think it was just 2 games that were very guard-oriented. You know, with Trae Young, with DeJounte Murray and facing the Pistons, you can really attack in those spots. John Collins, on top of that, this is a number, 21.5. He's averaged this the past 4 years. This is just a number that's down. This is typically 23.5 or 24.5. This is a number that's down right now because of his output the last 2 games. In addition, when John Collins has faced the Toronto Raptors run more of a small ball center style lineup with Pascal Siakam. You know what that does? Often that takes Clint Capella out of the lineup. You place John Collins in at the small ball center that keeps him around the basket far more when guarding Siakam. Yes, it does tend to increase foul trouble potentially, but when you're around the basket that much more, you have more opportunities at rebounds. Again, that rebound opportunity per minute. So again, John Collins is one of those guys who can go out and get 10 rebounds. If he has a simple game like 12 points, 10 rebounds, this still hits. So again, this is a Toronto Raptors team that doesn't run at a high clip. They're a slower paced team. In addition to that, they're not the best rebounding team in the world. Again, they like the small ball style lineup with Pascal Siakam at the 5, Scotty Barnes at the 4. And the last 10 games John Collins has faced the Raptors, he's hit this at a 60% rate. So again, I think he's in a good position here. I think he'll be guarded by Pascal Siakam. And John Collins taking 8 shots over the last 2 games. I would assume that this coach has said something. Trae Young needs to get him more involved. DeJounte Murray knows they need to get him more involved. If this team is good and competitive down the stretch, John Collins is averaging this. Okay, so he needs to get involved tonight. I think they help him to do so. So I like this over 21.5 points and rebounds for John Collins.
Yeah, actually, I like that a lot. I mean, talking about the bounce back part and them coming off of a loss and not giving him the opportunity to put up some shots, it's tough, right? They're gonna have to make an adjustment on that side if they want to get to back on the winning side. Also, the length of the Raptors, they have so much length from the 3 to 5 that John Collins is gonna have to play like several minutes because I mean, who else is gonna be able to guard like these 6'9", 6'7" players, right? Throughout the lineup. I think the Hawks they have a good rotation with the guards, but that front court has some problems. So we'll see if Collins is able to do that. I think he is. He's gonna have to grab the rebounds. He's gonna have to be there down low, getting the offensive rebounds, putbacks, and all that stuff. So he's gonna have a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, one last point too is if either Scotty Barnes gets in foul trouble or if Pascal Siakam ever gets in foul trouble, you know who fills in that spot is Chris Boucher. And I love Chris Boucher on the offensive end, but he's pretty brutal on the defensive end. He's like 7 foot, 180 pounds. So I mean, he's someone you can take advantage of. And in a lot of these avenues, I like John Collins. You know, he checks a lot of boxes tonight. The only thing that slightly worries me is foul trouble because, like you said, the Raptors do have a lot of length. He's going to have to be the one guarding them. But as long as he can proceed with caution, I think this is a really good spot for him.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense to me. So for me, my best bet, I'm going to go back to that last game that we talked about, the Rockets Clippers, under 224. Both teams struggling offensively. Both teams turning the ball over at a high rate. Clippers are playing solid defense even through their offensive woes. I think the tired legs is going to be an impact, right? Because they're playing second game of back-to-back nights. This is just like an ugly game overall from both sides offensively. To me, I think the Rockets, you know, obviously they've had a tough schedule as well. Their offense will pick up at some point, but I think they're, you know, to me, the Clippers defense is really what they have going. That's the only thing they got going right now. Like what Matt mentioned, there's no chemistry with the squad, but defensively they're all pretty sound. Even as individuals, not only as a team. So I think the Rockets will struggle. I was kind of teetering between taking the full game under or the team total under. But if the Rockets stay close, you know, if the Rockets stay close, they cover the spread. But in the end of the day, 224, I feel like it's just a little bit too high. So that's the way that I'm going with the best bet for today's show. On the premium side, nothing up yet. Just like Matt, I'm going to be looking for the best spots, especially with today's injury report. It's kind of funky. So I want to wait until I hear back what happens with Ja and the guys over there with the Grizzlies. Also, I mean, Embiid, I feel like isn't a sure thing to play either. So a lot of guys are a lot of important players right now in the injury report that I want to wait to hear statuses on. I will have a Monday Night Football play. Yesterday, I went 3-0 in the NFL. I think I'm on a 15-5 run in the NFL this month, just this month in October. So NFL is doing pretty well. NBA last 25 plays, I think I'm up 17 units or something. I gotta double check my numbers here, but yeah, everything right now, NFL, NBA is on the plus side. So I want to keep that going, and hopefully, you know, just through the NBA season, I want to get back to that number one spot that I didn't get last season. So we'll see how it goes. Matt, come back through here. Let's get some last comments before we shut the show down.
Yeah, man, I'm liking that underlook. I really am liking that underlook. I think the Rockets got to be tired as well. You know, these are young guys who have been putting on a lot of minutes as of late, a lot of minutes on those legs. So wouldn't be surprised if they're a little tired. And the thing is with this Rockets team, if you don't get the production from Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr., it's going to be very, very tough for this game to go over, almost impossible. And the way that Jalen has been running, you know, Jalen's one of my favorite players throughout the NBA. But every player has an off game. Every player comes back down to earth. And I think Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. are definitely they're probably due for one of those off games. And tonight very well could be it. So I definitely like that underlook. And the more I think about it, I'm really, really liking Paul George tonight. I think that he might be an official play for me. So the more I think about that, the more I like that bounce back spot. The dude's shooting 26%. It was the same thing I was talking about with Trae Young last Friday. Dude erupted for 36 points. So it's like if the shot is there, if the volume for there, if the opportunity is there, that's all you can ask for. We're not out there taking the shots. You know what I'm saying? So at some point, these guys are going to shoot at a 40% clip, 45, 50% clip. When he shot at a 50% clip, he went off for 40. So really, we just need him to shoot at like 38%, and he's going to smash this. So I'm really liking this spot.
Yeah, I love it. All right, well, that's the end of the show, guys. We'll be back on Wednesday, same time, 10 a.m. here on this channel. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and set the alarm so that you get the notification when we get the show going. With that said, everyone, happy Halloween, and we'll see you on Wednesday. Peace.
Good luck tonight.